Namaste everyone and welcome to Radio Football as we have new champions in Europe and South America being Europe and Argentina. It was two brilliant finals and today I'm going to give a review of both the finals. So let's start with the Copa America final. It was one of the best Copa America finals I have ever seen. I watched the 2015 final, 2016 final, 2019 final and 2021 final and this was the best of them all because the kind of emotion, the kind of passion that was filled in that match was unbelievable. Although there were only 6,800 fans in the stadium, the Maracana, but the emotions were running high. And I'm so glad as a football fan as well as a Messi fan that Messi has finally won an international trophy. And it's glad to see him, with the Copa America, with his teammates just clinching the trophy. Argentina have won this trophy after 28 years. It's a joy to the country. Big victory, and I have to praise Lionel Scaloni. He has done a brilliant job in bringing the team together. He took the job after that team was really scrambled because after the 2018 World Cup, many players were old, Mascherano, Lavezzi, players like that. But this group of Argentina players is really talented. You see the players like Rodrigo de Paul, absolute gem of a player. Congratulations on for for him on his move to Atletico Madrid for 35 million euros. That is an excellent deal. Then we have Otamendi had a great final. Surprisingly, Otamendi had a great final. And of course, we had 41 fouls in that match, which is huge, of course. But then again, I think it was better of the two finals out of Euro and Copa America. I think the Copa America was better of the two finals. And great tournament for Messi, 4 goals, 5 assists, man of the tournament along with Neymar. Brilliant achievement. He has finally, proved to the Argentines that I'm here on the international stage as well. And Brazil, it's a huge disappointment for them and for Neymar. Neymar has not yet won a trophy, international trophy. If I recall, he has won the Rio 16 Olympics, but uh, he has never won the Copa America or the World Cup. Brazil won the Copa America in 2019, but at that time Neymar was injured, not with the team. And I think Tite got his tactics wrong. Hats off to Lionel Scaloni. He had a brilliant. He showed guts. There were lots of debates. Will Nico Gonzalez start, or will it be what's the guy's name? Uh, Alejandro Gomez. Yeah, will it be Alejandro Gomez or Nico Gonzalez? But he went bold with the option of Di Maria, and what a game Di Maria had! He was absolutely brilliant. And Rodrigo de Paul, man of the match in the final, absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you who had a really bad game. Casemiro. Casemiro had a shit game. He was so bad. I mean, I've never seen Casemiro been this bad in a match. And then we talk about Neymar was actually okay. I mean, maybe good because he was driving in defenders, drawing fouls. Pretty much of them is actually warfare in the playground. But again, disappointment for Neymar and company. They should have won this match. Argentina, brilliant accomplishment for them as a country as well as a team who have been going to constant final. And Messi, wow, what a journey this has been. Going to the winning the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, winning the under 20 World Cup, and then going on to 2011 final, not winning there. 15, 16 finals. The man has lost 4 finals, and when he lost the World Cup, I was so sad. And I was like, this time, if he doesn't win the Copa America, it will be a huge hit to his mental health because just imagine losing 4 finals, 4 major competitions, 3 Copa Americas and a World Cup final, and still keep going for your country is amazing from Lionel Messi, and I hope he can play as long as he can. Now we move on to the second final, that is uh, the Euro final. We have more to discuss in this final because more tactics were involved. It was not actually warfare between Otamendi and Neymar, but there were tactics involved. Southgate went for back three or back five, whatever you want to call it, with bringing in Trippier, back three, Shaw, John Stones, and John Stones, Walker, and Maguire. I think that an okay game. England, brilliant start to the game. As you saw, the full backs were going on. That Harry Kane was dropping in, finding space for Trippier on the right wing, and the idea of Southgate to bring in from the wings to exploit Italy was was really working in the first 15-20 minutes. Because they were going at him quickly, and the amount of space Trippier had on that right wing for the first goal, and he floated the ball in. He had around 5 seconds to choose a player to target for that cross, and then the amount of space Luke Shaw had on the left wing to just shoot that in the bottom corner. What a brilliant strike that was! It just speaks volumes about the working of the strategy from Southgate in the first 15 to 20 minutes. And Harry Kane dropping in was a really good move. But then slowly and slowly, Italy started to control the tempo of the game. Italy managed the game brilliantly. They were showing patience, so many back passes, so many back passes. Sometimes you just get annoyed because you just want to hook the ball forward for one of either Ciro Immobile or Insigne, but they were patient. They kept the ball, keep knocking it around, and eventually the goal did come for Leonardo Bonucci, and the game went on and on and on, and obviously the game went to penalty. I think Southgate has been brilliant throughout the tournament, except from this final. I think he got his tactics wrong in the second half of the final. For the first half, he's brilliant. The fullback strategy was brilliant, but in the second half, they started suffering. Italy were knocking the ball around the park, making them run and run, tiring them out, and it was really a tough game for England. But then when you saw the changes he was making, he was bringing on Henderson for Declan Rice. I think, am I right? I think so. Declan Rice, of course, Jordan Henderson on in, I think, 70th minute or something around that, and bringing Sancho and Rashford in the 118th minute, and they were fortunate to get them on the field because Italy conceded and throw in. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have been on the field to take penalties. I think that was wrong from Southgate to bring two attack-minded players. That is just, I think he was trying to save the game rather than win the game. Just take the game to penalties. I don't know why he was doing that. I think he should have gone on and thrown on some attacking players. And he did throw on Grealish. That was a good move. He was doing well, but I think some changes, he got outsmarted by Roberto Mancini. What a tournament he's had! He's been absolutely brilliant. What journey it has been for him, bringing the Italian team from not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup to here, winning the Euros. Excellent achievement for him, for guys like Chiellini and Bonucci who've been here for decades. Actually, Chiellini is 37. I don't think he's gonna play in the next World Cup, 2022 Qatar. But brilliant. They were brilliant throughout the tournament. Defensively, absolutely brilliant. And the time Bonucci had on the ball to just hook it up to Insigne, he just wanted to just hook the ball up into the left side to Insigne or to Ciro Immobile, and the amount of space and time he was given to do that was unforgivable from the England players. They need to press more from that side, They could not do that. And the game went to penalties. We all know what happened. Kane, who started the penalty? Yeah, Berardi shot in the bottom left corner. Good penalty. I thought he was going to miss, but good penalty. Then came on Kane. And it was a brilliant performance from him. It was a brilliant penalty from him into the bottom right corner. Struck hard. No chance for Donnarumma to get there. And then we have Maguire. I thought Maguire was a decent shout for penalty taker, because when I see centre backs, I think centre backs are good penalty takers because they want to smash the ball, just like Maguire did there. And what a penalty that was! I think that was the best penalty in the whole of the tournament. And then came on, who was it? Was it Rashford? Yeah. It was not a good penalty from him. hit the pole and outside it went, and it was definitely disappointing from the 23-year-old Manchester United man. But then we had I think, if I recall, Jordan Pickford saved a penalty from someone, I don't know his name. Italian. Yeah. Andre Bellotti. Andre Bellotti wanted to smash it in, but it was not a good penalty. Did not find the corner. Jordan Pickford good save, but then he stayed. He make them stayed in the game, and then obviously we know Sancho missed the penalty as well. Then it was for Jorginho to finish it, and I was like, Jorginho can finish it easily, but it was a really good save from Jordan Pickford again. But Saka, I think here is where Southgate got it wrong, because many people are blaming Saka and all for taking the penalties. I think Southgate has to take some blame, not much of the blame, because you can't have practically five penalty takers, proper penalty takers who take their penalties for club teams as well as international teams. You have to have some you know unusual penalty takers. But Bukayo Saka, a 19-year-old new Arsenal player who hasn't even had 20 games with England, I think. He hasn't even had 20 games with England. You tell him to go and take the fifth penalty, probably that is going to be the most important penalty. A 19-year-old who has never taken a penalty in his professional career for Arsenal or for England, and there are 30 million English fans watching you. The amount of pressure you put on the Wonder Kid is just massive, massive. And I think Sterling was a good shout. I think Henderson should have taken one of the penalties as well, but Southgate subbed him off around in the 117th or 18th minute. But the fact that these three players, Sancho, Rashford, and Saka, are those who miss the penalties, are facing racial abuse, is a shame, absolute shame from whoever is doing this. But I want to just take a moment and appreciate England and appreciate Southgate. This team, Southgate, just tell me how many English managers have brought their English team into the semi-finals and the final of the competitive tournament since 1966. It's been 55 years. He's brought them into the final, and don't tell me he's only faced one team. He's only faced one good team. Every tournament, every team has only faced one good team, apart from the group of death. If you look at Italy, they did face two good teams against Spain and Italy. But again, I'm sorry, Belgium as well. But they outplayed Belgium. I think they totally deserve to lose against Spain. They got thrown penalties. England, they won on penalties. That is an okayish match, although maybe deserved to win it. But still, Southgate, brilliant from him. He got his tactics right in every match apart from the second half of the final. And another moment, I don't know why Indian fans have such a problem with English football. I see many fans, I know many people, I have friends who don't like English football, who don't like the phrase "it's coming home." I don't like the phrase "it's coming home" as well. But you have to like the English team. They have talented players. They have really good players, and many people are like, "Oh no, they are overhyped." I don't think overhyped. I don't think English football is overhyped. Many people are saying, many people do say around me, the people I know, that English football is overhyped. The players are overhyped. The teams are overhyped. The teams bottle. Let me just state facts here. 2018-19 season, Champions League final. Spurs versus Liverpool. Both of the teams English. 2018-19 Europa League final. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Both English teams. You tell me, when did this happen for another domestic league? When did this happen that all English finals in both Europa League and Champions League? When did it happen? Just tell me. Then 2020-21, 4 teams, of course, Europa League 2 teams, Europa League final 2 teams, Champions League final 2 teams, Out of out of this teams, 3 teams were English. 3 teams were English. How can you say that English football is overhyped? And in the 17-18 Champions League season, 5 teams from English Premier League qualified for the round of 16. I don't think that's ever happened for any other domestic league. I don't know why people say that English football is overhyped. I don't know why people say English Premier League is overhyped. So that's all for today, guys. That's my view as a sad Spanish fan. Like my video if you liked what I said about, of course, the Euro and the Copa America final, and subscribe to my channel for more of this. Until next time, this is Radio Football signing off. Also follow my Instagram channel at the rate Radio Football, given in the description as well, for all the latest football facts and news. I upload polls, posts, good facts, and all. So that's it. Until next time, this is Radio Football signing off.